Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We begin tonight with breaking news from Norwich. A 7-year-old girl has died. We're told firefighters pulled her from a house fire. Thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Sarah Sanchez.
And I'm Brent Harden. The Norwich fire chief just gave us the tragic update minutes before we came on the air tonight. The fire happened on Summit Street just before 5:30 this evening. Norwich officials say the two-story home was engulfed when they arrived. A mom and her 3 kids were home at the time, and firefighters quickly learned one of the children was trapped inside. Firefighters went in and got the child from the 2nd floor of the home. She was taken to the hospital, but sadly, she did not survive.
It's the nightmare call. I mean, the vast majority of us have children ourselves, or even grandchildren, and we know how important it is to get there as quickly as we can. There's a single stairway on the interior of the house, right inside the front door, but that's also where the bulk of the fire was.
The cause of the fire remains under investigation tonight. We'll bring you any new information as it becomes available from officials in Norwich. Well, also tonight, people in Torrington are expressing frustration over some new unwanted neighbors.
Yeah, they say rats are taking over their streets and homes. Fox 61's Kaylee Collins heard from the community about the growing rodent population.
Well, it's unsettling to say the least for those living in and around the Jardin Street area here in Torrington. Some are dealing with dozens of rats scurrying around their garages and porch areas, while others are now reluctantly sharing their living space with what's been described as pretty sizable rodents.
The size of like a baked potato, like big suckers.
Like New York City rats, like sewer rats.
Torrington residents are working to evict rats that have moved in without warning.
And they'll come wherever they can. They can get through any small hole.
Complaints are coming from around the Jardin and McGinnis Street areas, not far from where the former Torrington Company factory once stood. Those dealing with the rat invasion say they think the recent demolition of that building is what's causing the problem.
Now we have rats, and I think because of the building being taken down the road, a lot of my neighbors down the road, a lot of them have had rat issues now, which we've never had issues like this before.
Rats have nestled into this family's garage, tearing holes in the walls and leaving piles of feces.
Oh my God, it makes me want to move. We have 2 traps out. We've been catching 2 every night for the past like 2 to 3 weeks. We've gotten like 23 now. So far as our total.
Across the street, the rodents have made their way inside the house.
I own a daycare here, so it's been terrible. I had to throw most of the stuff I had downstairs in the daycare away. They're eating my shoes and the stuff that I just bought for my kids.
Residents have called town officials and were told help would be on its way later this week, though exact details were unclear. The hope is that assistance will arrive before these rats multiply.
Fix the issue. I know it's a good thing to take the building down. It'll make the town look pretty, but at the end of the day, it hurts other people in the community too.
Definitely need to remediate and just provide some guidance to all the residents as to what's going on and look into that, because no one wants to see or have rats in their home.
And we did reach out to the Torrington Mayor's office for comment on this growing rat situation, and we have yet to hear back. Reporting in Torrington, Kaylee Collins, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Now, Fox 61 Weather Impact with meteorologist Sam Sampieri.
Well, we continue our cooling trend, and the coldest air mass is going to be moving in tomorrow and into Thursday. Right now, we're down to 38 Torrington, 41 Waterbury, 42 New Milford, 38 Danbury. Basically 30s and 40s across Connecticut right now, with some low 50s across the shoreline. Bit of a wind out of the west at about 5 to 7 miles per hour. So a little breeze, no wind gusts right now. And yes, we are dealing with a couple of rain and snow showers, a couple of line right here, rain and snow showers, some very cold air behind this little system. I call it a little system because all it is a trough, not really any big front or anything. Temperatures will bottom out. Now, this is Hartford in the low 40s, but because of the wind, I'm not really too surprised that we won't get these temperatures down too far. And there could be little patches of frost. There is a frost advisory for Litchfield County. I don't know why. The National Weather Service reissued something. Those areas have had frost before, especially up there. But regardless of that, tomorrow, another nice day. Some clouds building in, sun and clouds blustery. Temperatures holding in the 50s. Clear, chilly tomorrow evening, sundown 6:07. Coming up, I'll detail the rest of the week. We have freeze watches in effect. I'll detail that, when, where, and what you can expect the rest of the week and into the weekend. Brent and Sarah.
All right, Sam, thank you. We continue our coverage now of the shutdown of Abbott Terrace Health Center in Waterbury. The nursing home lost its Medicare and Medicaid funding for not meeting minimum health and safety standards.
So far, they haven't been given a date on when Abbott Terrace will close, but it's imminent. Today, residents and workers were joined by community leaders saying they want the state to step in and do something. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot was there when it happened.
Employees say they were given less than a day of notice that they were no longer going to be employed at Abbott Terrace in Waterbury. Patients and family members are devastated that their loved ones will have to be transferred somewhere else.
They just sprung it at us that all of a sudden we're closing. No, it was like a month before the actual, they didn't give us any time to even think about it. And they just said, this one's going here, this one's going there. And, there's nothing you can do about it.
Since the news about Abbott Terrace closing, the atmosphere has changed in these hallways.
And now when I go into Abbott, all I see is sadness. Sometimes they don't want to eat, they don't sleep, and mostly you see the sadness in their eyes.
Maldonado says family members like Milda Minales, who only speak Spanish, won't be able to see her husband as much.
She comes to Abbott every day to visit her husband. He's on the second floor. He has dementia. It affected her because she doesn't have a car to get around. She lives like 5 minutes away from where her husband's at.
She's not the only one impacted.
And a worker who's been there 23 years, who went to work one day and told, don't come back tomorrow.
Faith leaders say Abbott is home to many congregation members.
Keeping Abbott Terrace open is vital. It's a necessity for our community.
Why are we letting elderly residents get sacrificed? Why are caregivers losing their jobs? Why does Waterbury deserve less?
DeSue said at least 3 nursing home operators are interested in purchasing Abbott, and she's calling on state leaders to step in.
We're calling directly on Governor Lamont, DSS Commissioner Barton Reeves, and DPH Commissioner Juhani to ask the federal government to continue Medicare and Medicaid payments to Abbott Terrace to keep it open.
This is the second rest home that's being closed in Waterbury in 3.5 years. There needs to be a thorough and a great explanation as to why we can't get these folks where they need to be so they don't fail these regulations.
Political and healthcare leaders in our state say they are doing everything they can to keep Abbott Terrace open. In Waterbury, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
New at 10, a new documentary tells the story of a Connecticut woman famously known as the most successful female climber of Mount Everest. Also part of her story, though, she's a survivor of domestic violence. Lakba Sherpa is a native Nepali. She calls West Hartford home. A screening of Mountain Queen, the summits of Lakba Sherpa, was held at Hartford Public Library tonight to highlight Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Sherpa has climbed Mount Everest 10 times since 2000. That's more than any other woman in the world.
October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, and the Connecticut State Department of Education's Office of Dyslexia and Reading Disabilities is advancing its Dyslexia Awareness campaign. State agencies held an event tonight to lay out the year-long plan. The campaign features a series of activities designed to promote an understanding of dyslexia, along with ensuring support for students.
I am so pleased to have this family together to say we will not accept any child not being able to read. That is not acceptable, because those young people can do anything that they want to do, given the opportunity to learn how to read.
According to the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, 20% of the population has dyslexia.
A Seymour man's behind bars tonight. Police say he's connected to 2 separate cases of sexually assaulting children. One happened 10 years ago, and the most recent happened just last week near Fulton Park in Waterbury, according to police. Fox 61's Joey LeBlanc has the details.
45-year-old Michael DeWitt is now in the custody of New Haven police. We'll get to that part of this case in just a moment. But first, Waterbury police say DeWitt was allegedly hanging around near Fulton Park last week when he lured a little girl into his truck. Waterbury police say they got the call just after 7 p.m. last Wednesday, responding to Cook Street near the park for a report of a kidnapping and sexual assault involving a minor. When officers got here, they found a young girl and Good Samaritans from the neighborhood protecting her. Investigators found out earlier that night the girl, who was under the age of 13, was with a group of people at the park. That's when they say she was lured into this pickup truck by a man now identified as DeWitt. Police say DeWitt sexually assaulted the young girl, who later escaped just outside the park. Investigators then learned DeWitt was wanted in New Haven in connection to another alleged assault involving a minor dating back 10 years ago. 2 days after this incident, police found DeWitt in West Haven and arrested him. Now, police are sending a message to parents with young children.
It's really important to talk about strangers and the risks that they may pose, and making sure that children understand that unless they really know a person, they should certainly not get in a vehicle or go into a house or go into any type of location with them without their parents' knowledge.
Now, DeWitt is expected to appear in a Waterbury courtroom on Wednesday, where he'll face 7 charges. In the meantime, officers say if there's anyone else out there who believes they may have been a victim of DeWitt's, to please contact your local police department. We are in Waterbury. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
DeWitt's also accused of sexually assaulting his ex-girlfriend's daughter a decade ago. Police say these allegations came to light just this year, back in April. DeWitt denies all the accusations against him.